out. It's really too early to start thinking about taking data out. But identifying a number of your colleagues will be working on plans to identify data sets and get them ready for deposit. It would help overcome a lot of those barriers your researchers have if you can do those kinds of services. There are some differences. The report's available, and you can see there are differences in region. I just pointed out the list of differences that are different between the north and west. Those two groups together are more likely to be doing training, more likely to be doing discussing and collaborative, and policy development. So there's a lot of planning happening in the north and west. We know that there's great variation between libraries, and we know that some universities and some countries within a region are ahead, and that's good. Some are in the position to be leaders, and that's good, and some in the position to be followers, and that's fine too. And this kind of collaboration is really key on this, regional and national as well. So let me get to the last point, which is the staff skills, because none of this works if you don't have people who feel comfortable doing it. For some, this is really new. So we asked about, have you hired staff for research data services in the last 12 months? And most had not. Okay, so a little over a third had, 39% had hired new staff that's specifically for that. Many had not hired new staff. We asked, have you provided opportunities for library staff to develop skills? And this is the main tactic. Rather than hiring new people, providing time to take classes, time to go to workshops, time to go to meetings, do the training. This is the main thing. So somebody who's excited about it, who really wants to take the lead in the organization, and then providing opportunities for them to learn about it is really key, as it is with any kind of new service. We asked specifically about opportunities, what kind of your skills, when you're providing opportunities for skill development, what are you offering? And support for staff to attend conferences and workshops, 78%, that's the biggest one. Taking courses, quite a few are offering. Joining working groups. Is anybody here on the LIBOR working group? Because there is that LIBOR working group that's directly involved that we work with, so that's kind of good. Having some in-house staff development, and so there's a wide variety. We also did some open-ended about strategies. We asked, again, tell us in more detail, and we, one said they collaborated with another institution to develop a skills-based MOOC, so there's two institutions together to offer a course. One said they couldn't hire permanent staff, but they hired project staff. So let's get this started, let's hire somebody specifically to get this started. Another said that they refocused an existing role, so somebody who was doing something, maybe cataloging, they moved them to data metadata librarian or something, moving somebody who's interested. Some said they moved staff from other support units to work specifically on research data management. I should show you this last one. But I couldn't resist, because this is the way we do things a lot, right? So they were being honest, right? So there's lots of assistance with training. You do not have to do it yourself. You don't have to develop from scratch. There are some wonderful, in the EU in particular, wonderful opportunities. There's groups, Foster, which is founded by the European Commission. Go to their website. They've got lots of training materials, bibliography. The Research Data Alliance, an international group. Some of you may be members, but they have their materials on their website. A MOOC is offered by University of Edinburgh Adena and University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, they do a class twice a year usually. You can get involved in that. If you go to the Adena website, you'll find they have materials as well as they have the MOOC. I mentioned the Liber Working Group on Scientific Information. They have materials on their website too. So all of these, there's probably others too, but these are all based in Europe, and they all offer. You don't have to do it from scratch. They all offer that. There's also, since I come from Data One, I've got to end here with an ad for Data One. We have educational modules on the Data One website. You are welcome to use them, adapt them, change them, translate them, do whatever you want with them. They can be used for train the trainer. They can also be used to do library instruction classes for students or researchers or faculty. So they're meant to be used either way. If you just go to data1.org, you'll find the education modules. They are biased toward earth and environmental sciences, so if you're not in that area, you'll probably want to change some of the examples. But they all have training and examples. And there are 11 of them. And they go from real basic. Why should people even be concerned? Why should researchers be concerned about data management or data sharing, all the way down to quite detailed of how to cite a data set. They're meant to be done, in small chunks, a course of an hour or so, with exercises so that they can be interactive. I would say that probably the least interesting in terms of you'd be able to pick up would be the legal and policy issues. A lot of that would be U.S. centric, but it could certainly be adapted and changed. So feel free, these are in the public domain and you can do what you want with them. But the idea, this is a kind of if you decide that informational, consultative, teaching is where you want to get involved, there's lots of people who've done that, and you can use their materials. So I just want to end with thanking to the Liber study team who we worked with. This was an international project with folks from the U.S., Finland, Germany, and across the U.S. from Idaho to Tennessee and places in between. So we enjoyed doing that so much. What we really need to do now is go back in 3 years probably to see if what they said they were going to do in 2 years they're really doing. I shouldn't end on a downer, but in the U.S., we did the same thing. What are you doing now? What do you plan to do 1 year, 2 years? So what are you doing now, and what are you planning to do in 2 years? If you go back in 2 years, the number of doing it should be here, right? Well, it's more like this. So, and I say that not to be discouraging, but to say that it's more complicated than we might think. It requires making a decision about where and how to enter. It requires that discussion and planning. And I think a lot of those libraries didn't do that step of planning, talking with others, discussing, setting policy. They just, kind of jumped in. And that worked for some. But for others, it was a little like, whoa, this is harder than I thought. We did follow-up interviews, and that was the main thing. It was like harder than we thought. Other priorities came in. So enter it with eyes wide open and with a good plan. And if it takes 3 years, it's okay too. But start somewhere. I think with research data services is something that is both mandated and has benefits. So there's a carrot and a stick there. Thank you. I think we'll end there. Thanks. And you had a question, yeah.
Can we open for questions?
Yes.
It's done. Just want to say that Foster just was at the Open Access Conference, and they had a poster about Foster. So I logged in yesterday, and so it's really to recommend there. Good. Then there's, at least they use in Australia, for 23 things for research data management. Okay. So that's a very good tool. Some people might have read my blog from last year's study tour, so I have described it there. Okay. And my question was, do you send a survey, the Liber survey, to the library directors? Or?
Yes, it went to the library directors. So we didn't actually send it, the Liber board sent it. on our behalf, and they sent it to all Liber academic libraries. Because there's some that are other, and they sent it to the library director. So sometimes the library director maybe didn't pass it on or whatever.
And I just wanted to tell that there are some people from Turkey, UK and France who have started a similar survey, but sent it out to researchers and research students or PhD students. Started last year, and I think there are about 20 countries in Europe who have participated and have done the same. Sent it to their university, to their university staff, and Norway is about to participate at the end of this year. At least I've been communicating with a colleague from Bergen, with the 4 big university libraries here, and we want to do the same. But we haven't done it yet.
Well, if you would send me some information about that, and one of the reasons is that we decided in Data 1 we're not going to do another library survey right now. We're in year 8 of 10, so you know, it would have to be. But Stephen Penfield at Sheffield, Liz Lyon somewhere in the UK, Marianne Keenan in Australia contacted me, and they're about to do another library survey internationally. So it sounds like maybe we've got, and they asked if I would distribute it in the US, and they're distributing it in the UK and Australia, and I think they were going to go beyond. So it sounds like we need to get these folks together.
They who have started it, they're LIS professors.
Okay.
But we are kind of a community within the European Conference on Information Literacy. I've done several international studies or surveys before. So the people from libraries, but also from the LIS community.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to get those groups together. So the Keenan and Penfield are both LIS professors. And so it would be, they may be asking different questions. I know that these were going to go to the library director, so it may be a different audience, but it would be interesting, at least that the groups that are doing this kind of know what they're doing. Yeah, thank you very much. Well.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a question or more maybe to the audience, if anyone knows how is the status in Norway about, you know, you said that could be a smart thing to have a national service kind of in this, instead of each institution making their own. Sounds like a good idea, but do we actually have, we don't have this kind of
we have
service? We have?
University in Oslo have done surveys on how the state of research data management is for the researchers. NTNU has done similar. I didn't know until Monday, so there are some people who've done this. It came from the rector last year. Sent it out. So the library was only involved by Henrik and the research committee at the NTNU. And I don't think they have anything done in Tromsø and Bergen.
Yeah.
So, but Tromsø, I know they have been doing research data services, and they have a repository for several years.
That's the one I know also. Tromsø attended a workshop.
And our university is working with a new policy on research data.
Yeah, so the survey is one thing, but are there actually some repositories or services?
Yeah, I just wonder if there is like a research council or something that might in Norway that might have a nationwide repository where data has to be deposited if you get funding from the research council or something. Is that something that, is that bad or good? I mean, it's not always good, but yeah, that might be something.
No. So this conference where I attended the workshop, it was actually the Foredrag, you know, it's for research libraries. And if this kind of service was operative, I guess this would be mentioned.
Yeah.
Because then it's about where are we now and what should we go on doing. And then Tromsø, the University of Tromsø, they were leading this workshop, and they, as I understood it, they were actually the only ones that had an operative service in this field.
There are some discipline specific.
Discipline
specific. And there are something, I think, some infrastructure for the whole north of Europe. So, but it's not well known.
Discipline specific has been the longest lived and probably the most successful for those disciplines that have repositories, and of course there are those all over the world. So helping people locate those, if their discipline has it, doesn't necessarily have to be them institutional. But then there are some disciplines where there isn't a repository, and I know for Data One and the University of California, we started a repository that was just like, if you don't have any other place to put your data, put it here. And then I used to be on the board of directors for Dryad, if anybody's heard of the Dryad repository. It started in environmental sciences, but with the idea that you publish first, and then if your funder and your publisher requires data deposit, you deposit your data. And since it worked with publishers, it soon went beyond environmental sciences. So it is a repository. Dryad, D-R-Y-A-D, is a repository for any kind of data if there is a publication that describes it. So you have a journal article with data set behind it, you can put the data into Dryad. So again, those. It's headquartered in North Carolina. And the data, by the way, the data sets for the first and second scientist survey that's published in PLOS are in the Dryad repository. That's where we put them, in the repository for Dryad. And the data for the Lieber survey is in the Finnish National Social Sciences Data Repository. So it's in the University of Tampere runs the national, so you should be able to find those data too. So.
Yeah, I think also isn't the Bay, yeah, you have a data.
Yes, we have a data repository in our institution. There is a collaboration with BITSYS, with good repository. So, but I don't know so much about it.
No,
Sorry.
because I heard the talk from
Yes.
one lady from Bay at
Yes.
the BITSYS
Yes.
conference. Yeah.
It's called good.
Yeah.
As far as I know, since we have the Kristin system, that's for all the publications in Norway, they want to make the system and expand it to also include data in the future. So because we have already one system for all researchers, so we should use the same system.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But how they do it, because I also think researchers prefer to have their specific repositories to use, and then they won't do it twice, so we have to find ways to.
So good citation and good linking, and making sure that every data set has a DOI,
Yes,
so that people can get to it. Those are important things. So again, a role a library can play, because we understand that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Ja, kan vi. Ja, men jeg tenkte å ha det til noe
Nei, jeg kan prøve det.
Ja, ok, sånn, ok.
Takk for i dag. Håper at dere koser dere masse. Og så at vi ses igjen neste år. Ja, så da takker vi styret for at dere kom i dag.
Thank you.